And we were on. Look, he's even looking a little red. Let me tell you, after last
Oh
night,
my God.
anybody can look red in the face after last night. I mean, what an outrageously crazy debate. We came on last night. We gave you our feelings without listening to any of the pundits. And remember, we don't get paid by anybody. So we just kind of come out and lay it on you. Here we are. We're going to start talking post debate. And I'm just going to throw a little meat out there. I could tell you, Dr. V, you see how the arms are down. He's like holding on, ready to just launch through the
Launch.
telephone.
Ready to
But
launch.
all I know is this. Biden he doesn't have it. I think he's a really good president. I think he's done a really good job as president. I understand. It was just, but he had horrible advice. I got to believe a
Yes.
week getting ready, and this is how he's looking.
Yeah.
You tell me you're the doctor.
Talking about the border crisis and the woman who was killed. What? You serve up a fat, big lob, and instead of, you know, smacking it and getting a point, he blows it. He tries to make it more difficult. Who was advising him? And again, Biden's been around for a while, so he should know some of this stuff on his own. But I don't know. He was sick or something like that. That's the only explanation. That his voice
Well,
was off, so maybe he did have a cold. But whoever was taking care of him did not give him the right meds. He did not have the energy. It was just the wrong thing to do. And now we're left with, what are we going to do about it?
well, hang
It's
in. Don't go there. Don't hang in
all
with
right,
that. We're
all
going to
right,
get to that.
all
Hang
right.
in with that. Let's stick with where we are here. I think he just had too much crammed into his brain. And you get to a certain age or you're a certain type, it's hard to be able to have it. And why cram all that into his brain? Once again, when you go forward and you deal with people, you come up with certain ideas and you deal with those ideas. The problem is there's no getting away from what just happened to him.
Yeah.
There's no way that Trump's going to have a second debate with him. I don't know if you want anybody to have a second debate with him. And at the same time, what's he going to do? He's got to really be present. If I were him and I wanted to run and keep running, I would just start doing some bold things and going, here it is, and just start rocking on out with it. I wouldn't fool around. I would just go for broke, but I don't see him doing that. I don't think he can do it. So, but yet, if I make point, I just want to point out for the record, I said yesterday, the CNN rules for the debate tonight may help Trump appear less unhinged. I didn't, I said, but not cerebral. That's exactly what happened. Look, now we're going to have to talk. Let's take it to the next level. Yesterday doesn't matter anymore. Last night doesn't matter anymore. You're going to see polls. They're going to say he's in trouble. How do you go? I'll show you. We'll talk about this. How do you go about replacing somebody in a primary system? Because it isn't that simple. And we were talking last night about smoke-filled rooms. Let's talk about all this. People don't know what smoke-filled rooms are unless they're getting high. I mean, this generation or these generations, but smoke-filled rooms meant something else in the old days. And that was when the parties themselves picked the candidates. They would all get in the rooms, and they'd all smoke their cigars and whatever else, their cigarettes, and it would get smoky, and there's no way to get rid of it. They all probably got lung cancer immediately through all that. But they went through it and they decided who the candidate was going to be. That's how it worked. That's how it worked with Abraham Lincoln. That's how it worked with all these guys. Okay. So now you hear not everyone, but it's basic. It's TV. You got to move with it, media. They're all saying now you need a new candidate for the Democratic Party, but you can't just do it because under the rules, you've already had delegates voted for. I believe the convention rules require that the delegates vote for who they were voted for on the first ballot.
First ballot,
And
right?
then after the first ballot, they're
Released.
released to be. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Assuming that's correct, Biden is still in, unless you're going to have an insurgency. You can't have guys like Dean Phillips, that guy from Minnesota, that congressman. He was a goof running, and right now, it's hard for a Democrat who's going to be looking for 4 years out, figuring, and we got a lot of talent on the bench for 4 years out, figure what they're going to do, and then try to be a traitor now to Bush. I'm sorry, to Bush, to Biden, where it's going to come back and it's going to look horrible, especially if Biden comes out of it, because nobody likes a traitor. I don't care who you are. So it makes it really tough to decide who's going to make that first step, who's going to back that person. Is that insurgency really going to work? Or are you going to be able to get the delegates to pull? It's a lot to do. It's a lot to do. And if you try to do that, just think of the bloodletting that's going to go on if Biden wants to stay in there and fight, and the hatred, and you split the party apart. That's why I just don't see it happening so fast. There's got to be so much going on behind the scenes, but it's just he's been known though to always get off the mat. I don't see how you get off the mat here. I just don't see it. A good president, but horrible. But Trump, it would have been so easy to smack around. It was like sad. Take it, Dr. V. Take it.
Yeah, I mean, the only way you're going to get him off the ticket is if he decides on his own that he shouldn't be on the ticket and he voluntarily drops out. And probably the only reason he's going to do that is if the people close to him, like his wife, maybe his son, say, "Look, Dad, it's time to spend time with the grandkids or whatever and enjoy life. You don't need this crap anymore." And maybe some of the Democrats that he respects, maybe Coons or whatever, goes up to him and says, "Look, it's time to hit the bench." I mean, a couple weeks ago, we were talking about Willie Mays, fantastic Hall of Fame baseball player, had a great career with the New York Giants, the San Francisco Giants, but at the end of his career, he went to the New York Mets, and he just was a shadow of himself. And someone had to say to him, "Willie, you know, we can't put you out there anymore. It's time to retire." And
But
someone,
that's easy to do in baseball. That's the problem, Dr. V. I'm with you 150%. And if what you're saying was that easy, maybe it would be good. I don't know. Maybe it requires things to be hard to make changes. But you're talking about a real institutional change where the parties were until JFK, 1960, JFK and Nixon. I think those were the first real primaries. I think Ike had primaries in 56, but he wasn't going to lose. So I just don't see. I just don't see how you're going to be able to do this because people wanted to get rid of the parties running everything.
right?
And
Yeah.
suddenly now people are going to say, I trust you, party, to pick who your guy or woman's going to be. So
No,
it's not that easy to move by now because of it.
you can't move him out if he doesn't want to move out. That's not going to be possible.
Nope.
Not, there can't be a group of Democrats that say we have to get him out of there. That ship has already sailed. He has to say, "I'm dropping out," and then it opens it up. And then hopefully somebody emerges that can bring the party together again, and then the Democrats have a fighting chance. But as it stands right now, unless there's some dramatic change, and there hasn't been any dramatic change until last night, that I think we're left with the high probability that Trump is going to get elected. And that's really bad news for a lot of reasons, besides the fact that it could foul up our democracy forever. He has a chance to put people on the Supreme Court. And I don't know, I guess there was another ruling from the Supreme Court that maybe you can describe that a little bit more, that makes it more likely that someone could be a dictator, that the authority of the agencies is less now. And
I have a bigger feel. I have a bigger my thought. If you want to take me into the Supreme Court, I'm glad to do it. Let me throw this out to
go
you.
ahead.
I'm looking at it on a more holistic approach. They came out today with Chevron and said Chevron's out the door, that essentially federal agencies have no real or much less control over corporations or whatever than they had before. And and states can then make their decisions on what they can do. They can ignore the federal government. The problem we're starting to run into is this. before the Constitution, after the Revolution, I mean, these justices, they don't know history. It's jive. Okay. I have trouble getting the words. I feel like Biden last night when I talk about the justices. They talk like they know history. They know no history. They just take these pieces they want to have. Before the Constitution, we had something called the Articles of Confederation.
Mhm.
I'm sure you know about that. And the
Sure.
Articles of Confederation after the Revolution was the states decide what the states want to do. It was a confederation. It wasn't a republic. It wasn't a real unity. It was the articles. It was articles of confederation. And in that articles of confederation, there was really no federal government. There was a group of states had the right to send people in, but they couldn't do anything. They couldn't tax. They couldn't raise anything. They couldn't raise an army. They couldn't do anything because it was a group of states. And this state was going to do this, and this state was going to do that. Well, what happened is it wasn't working and things were falling apart. And the revolution was going to be lost. I mean, we won the revolution. I'm talking about the battles. We won, but it was going to be lost because we were split apart. So people like George Washington, really, who an enslaver, but still the hero of the American history. Because without George Washington, there was no America, period. I'm sorry, no America. You can say what you want, no America. And if you didn't want America, that's your problem. Leave. So we had so him and the other leaders came together, and it wasn't working. They knew we needed a strong federal government. So what they did was they came together in the Constitutional Convention and they invited George Washington to come because they knew George Washington had. I love American history. God, I love American history. They knew
It's
George
great. Teach
Washington had
us.
to. I'm
Teach
sorry.
us,
I hope
Mark.
you're. I hope you're not bored with this. See, I
Not at
just
all.
love
This is
American
good
history.
stuff. Learning.
Oh, they knew George Washington had to come because unless George Washington was at the Constitutional Convention, it wasn't going to work because still it was all states. And remember, Virginia was one of the biggest states in the United States and was the United States and the United States. And they could do what they wanted to do. And they and the other guys came and they said, you come. He didn't say one word. He didn't say one word. They made him the president. He just sat up there. George Washington just sat up there, and everybody's talking, and everybody's talking. George Washington's sitting up there. George Washington's sitting up there, and the guys are working the back. And they said, "The man says we want a deal. The man wanted a deal." And what happened is, it was decided that the federal government has to be what brings the country together. But they made a mistake because when they put that part of the Constitution together, what didn't they have? The Bill of Rights. The
Mm,
Bill of Rights came afterwards because people went, "Whoa, we
yeah.
can't let the government have this kind of control." And who controls the government? And we have rights, natural rights that come to us, whatever natural means. We have those rights. So the Bill of Rights was put together. The amendments were put together. That's what happened. And then that came in. George Washington pushed that through. Everybody said, yeah. And then we had the Constitution because there was a central government. And because we had a central government, this country became a great country. Otherwise, we're going to break up. Now, remembering all that, what the Supreme Court is doing is enabling the states to run things and take away power from the federal government. They're falling back on the Articles of Confederation. They sit there and like to try to cover it all and say the Constitution this and look, they may be great lawyers, but they ain't great historians. They're falling back on the Articles of Confederation and the country splits when the states have the power and the federal government doesn't. So this Chevron is a perfect example because now they can say to Chevron, hey, you're polluting over there. And Chevron can say, good talking to you. Go to Congress and complain about me. And that's what the problem is. I'm sorry I went so into it, but it's just, you asked a question, I had to throw it out there.
Okay. Oh, that's a good point. Now, will that
Did it make
make
sense? The
make it?
history and everything? You like the
Yeah.
history?
So that my question is, does this help or hurt the cause in terms of if there's someone who wants to be a dictator, does that hurt their ability to be a dictator over the country if the states have more authority?
Not at all.
Not at all.
because those states are his supporters. You
Oh,
see, unless you have a consensus in the country that we are a country, unless you have a consensus that even though we disagree with one another, we are still Americans, unless you have that consensus, that's how the dictator is powerful because the dictator separates, takes the group and keeps everybody pointing at each other, and he or she, normally he, gets to make the move and control everybody. That's how the game works. This enables the dictator. This enables the power hungry person. I hate the word dictator. It's just dirt. It just enables that person to have power. I meant trying to answer your question on
yeah,
that.
okay,
That's what,
all
so,
right.
and that's where we're going. And he put the judges or the justices on the Supreme Court to help enable his power.
That's what I'm concerned about. That's what I'm concerned about. That uh, you know, he'll have control over executive branch, legislative branch, judicial branch, and there won't be any checks and balances anymore. And that fundamentally is the issue with Trump, that he's never held accountable. He can say whatever he wants, he can do whatever he wants, and there's no accountability. And that's what he's learned his whole life, and that's how he's running the campaign. And I'm afraid that's how he's going to run the country. And that would be
Well, I
bad
think
for all of us.
don't assume too many things here, folks. I'm with you.
All
It
right.
doesn't mean he's going to get the legislature. Everybody's like having a heart attack over the legislature. I look at this a little differently. I think most Americans, the majority, no matter how whatever that big is big or small, is afraid of Trump. I believe that. I believe that Biden was okay or Democrats had a real candidate, they would run with it. So what is the voters check on Trump?
Right.
Is the legislature. They sit there, they go, well, maybe I'll vote for Trump because I think Biden's out of it, but I don't trust Trump. So I'm going to go I'm going to vote for this guy or this woman to come in and represent me to protect me. And if I was a Democrat, that's how I'd be running, going, okay, if he gets in there, I'm here, I'm here. And I think it makes a stronger case because they're already on there going, whoa, down ballot, this,
Right,
that,
right, right.
all that stuff. This country it doesn't, I don't think it's just a ballot anymore. I could be wrong. It could be a total sweep. Who knows nobody knows what can happen. It's just it's not a ballot thing. It's people don't vote Democrat. People don't vote, some do. The MAGAs vote MAGA. To them, Republican is MAGA. So they vote Republican. But I think when you get lower down, you're seeing with abort with women's rights, when you have abortion and all that stuff, they're voting differently at local levels. They don't care if the Republican legislatures passed those rules that stopped any and all rights. Those right wing people came on and voted. So I think there's a consensus in many ways in this country that we don't see, that just kind of bubbles under it and just rolls with it. That's what I think. So the
I,
legislature, I don't think we write it off just because people think we have to write off Biden.
I think it's going to be really difficult for the Democrats to continue to control the Senate. Just just the way it's set up, that a lot of Democrats are running for reelection, and if there's some shakeup, it's very easy for the Democrats to lose control. I mean, they're going to lose West Virginia for sure. It's going to be tough. And the House, the Democrats are already behind. How are they going to get control over in the House? So it's a very tough situation right now, that if the Democrats lost control of the Senate and the House, there's no accountability anymore. There's no breaks. And the judicial system used to be a bit of a break, but even that seems to be in peril of losing the ability to have checks and balances on the government. So that's what I'm mostly concerned about. And someone has to talk to Joe Biden and say, look, you love your grandkids, you love the country. For the good of your grandkids in the country, we need to have somebody in there who can effectively debate this guy, who can effectively mount a campaign to give the Democrats the very best chance to win the presidency. And you've done a great job. We'll give you a nice plaque, but now it's time to sit on the bench and let somebody else come in. And if he does that voluntarily, then I think it can happen. But if he doesn't do it voluntarily, then I don't think there's much chance that there could be a insurrection among the Democrats to get somebody else in there. And
Okay,
because the rules are,
let's say we can do it. I'm sorry, let's say he does get pushed out. Who are you looking at as a candidate?
Gavin Newsom,
Why?
he looks good. He's 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 intelligent. He's eloquent. He can inspire hope. He can inspire some enthusiasm. Now, he has his own issues. I mean, the people in California are a little bit lukewarm toward the guy because he has some issues. His past is a little bit checkered in terms of some of his sexual exploits. All that, all true. But when he's standing on the podium next to Trump, I think people are going to say that looks like a president. That's where I'm going to go. So I think someone like him. I don't think Pamela Harris has it. She may be doing a little bit better now, but the past couple years, she hasn't really distinguished herself as vice president. I don't
What vice
think,
president votes? What vice president distinguishes themselves?
that's a point. It's a point, but she's less popular than Joe Biden when they look at.
Well, it's hard to be more popular when the president has low popularity and you're the vice president. It doesn't make it easy for you to be popular because you can't go to try and outshine him or her. You got to be the vice president. You're there in case somebody dies.
So you
That's
think,
that's the whole bottom line.
yeah? So you think she'd have a shot if she decided to throw her hat in
I
the ring?
thought last night she was really good. Now that's the first time. I
Yes.
think in a debate, look, Kamala is smart.
Oh, no doubt.
She is smart. She knows what she's saying. I don't know if I agree with her on a lot of stuff, on everything, but I like a lot of what she says.
Yeah.
And she was an attorney general, and she knows what she's saying. She's been on the vice president. She's been on the front lines there. She has to account for being in charge of the border, but she's got rapier wit. I think she's gotten smarter. I think her advisors would coalesce around her, and I think she would do a fine job as a nominee. And I think she could be very good against Trump also. I think, now I don't know her that well. Gretchen Whitmer would be
Mm.
really good, at least from over here on the East Coast. I've been watching her for years. She seems really, really interesting. She has a lot of different people she has to get votes from, and they keep her in office. They like her or appear to. I don't, like I said, I don't live there. They appear to. Our governor, Wes Moore, too early. He's only been governor for
Same thing
two
with John
years.
Hero in
No,
Pennsylvania.
number one, I want to keep him here because I like what he's been doing. Governor Moore, okay? Double thumbs up to him. But at the same time, it's just not time for him. I don't think he would, or
Josh.
with your governor, because it's easier to wait 4 more years
Yeah.
than do what they want to do and see where it happens. So they get reelected and then do what they want to do. So, but you got to be looking. There have to be some other people because you can't just have a Cory Booker. I mean, it's just,
Right.
how do you just pick somebody in 20 days or 40 days and let the they used to call them fat, it was the fat cats and the politicos, let the politicos just pick them. I mean, think about it. Did you think about who you voted for when you voted for the delegates to the Democratic National Convention? You didn't think about it. You looked, you saw Biden, you went click, 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 right now. So you send a bunch of doofuses that you don't know there. I wouldn't vote for anybody. I voted for Biden in the primary, but I wouldn't vote personally. The delegates, I didn't know any of them. So you're sending these people there, and now the Democratic Party's future is dependent on these people. And they're not even politicos. They're just people who want to get elected because they wanted to have a good trip to Chicago and enjoy a good political thing there. That's what it is. It's all politics. It's all for fun. So
Yeah.
that's, oh,
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
so
you're right.
worried.
You'd have to have the candidates get together and decide this is the person we're going to coalesce around.
Woo!
I know,
Man,
and
you
that
want
might
to
be hard to imagine Pamela and Gavin getting together and saying, "You do it this time, I'll do it next time." I mean, that's
oh,
going to be tough.
That'll never happen. And you're
That
so sanguine about it, Dr. V. You're so sanguine. I can't believe it. But it's, you see, as we talk it through, how does it work?
yeah, no,
How does it work without blood all over the floor? How does it
yeah.
work?
Pamela would probably be upset if she was looked over, and that
Well,
might.
but it's not a matter of looked over. If you see, when you propose, and I'm not fighting it, but especially for purposes of our conversation, which is great, you propose Biden retires.
Yes.
Now it's open. So it's not a matter of being thrown out. You're going to have an opening, and people are going to jump into that opening, and they're going to have to earn it in 20 or 40 days. The question is, how do they earn it? Who do they pay off politically? I don't mean money wise. Who
Right.
do they pay off politically? How do they pull it in? And how do they make sure that they bring the whole party together without a problem afterwards? I mean, you're going to have you're going to have this candidate who wants to support more peace, more ceasefire in Gaza than this one. You're going to have these to say, well, I'm not so sure about Ukraine. This one's going to do this. And then where are you going to go with all
Well,
that?
you
And
know
you're
what?
not going to have time to work it out.
That would be a pretty darn exciting convention, don't you think? An open convention, the ratings that we get, how
It's
jealous Trump
brokered.
would be when he gets
I
crappy
think it's,
ratings. That would be so
I
much
think,
fun. Love it. I love it.
look,
That would be great.
do you want to love it or do you want Trump to be president? I'm
No,
with
no,
you.
no. It'll get tremendous ratings. People come out, somebody, a fresh face, they sweep to
Yeah,
victory.
yeah. But look, I can see that because people love media and
Yeah.
they love the reality show. But you're still putting yourself in the hands of a bunch of people that you wouldn't know in a million years, and you're asking them to pick the candidate for us. That's what's sad. That's what's weak. And then we're going to have no time to vet them or anything. I
Well,
mean, I like
when
I
was
like them better than Trump. Go ahead.
how when the Americans really pick these candidates? I know there is primaries, but there is really no contest in the primaries. Americans are left with two guys that they don't want. We didn't pick these guys; they just dropped to us. But if
Do
it
you
was
remember
open,
1968?
oh yeah, that was so much
What
fun.
happened in
Loved it.
1968?
It's great.
Tell me.
Well, a whole bunch of things. I
Yeah,
was
but
at the
you're talking about primaries. LBJ had problems
dropped
in those
out.
in New Hampshire,
He
and
dropped
because of
out.
that, he pulled out. That
He
was
pulled out.
Eugene
Yeah,
McCarthy. It
we had Eugene
works.
McCarthy. We had RFK. We had Hubert Humphrey. It was great debate. It was exciting politics. That's what got me hooked on politics to begin with. That was great. Unfortunately, RFK got assassinated, and then
And so
politicos
did Dr.
decided to put
King.
in Humphrey, the Happy Warrior.
Well, who else would it have been? He would have been a good president, I think. But
Yeah,
he would have been better than Nixon. But he cared about America. He was HHH. It's just him. But
yeah.
his problem as vice president was he had to kind of follow with Johnson,
Uh,
and he wasn't sure when to split. But the point you made is you see you had primaries then, and primaries work, and nobody ran against Biden. And there was except this guy from Minnesota.
right,
And he was just kind of goofy with his
right.
positions. So if somebody had run, it would have been a different ballgame. So that was a decision that all these politicians made. Now they may get lucky and stumble into where they are now, but it really makes it tough for us because we're going to be getting a blank slate. We're really not going to know where these people stand foreign policy wise because they're not foreign policy, most of them. The governors are local,
Mark,
right?
who, Mark, does that really matter where people stand?
Yeah,
Their
because we
position on
got to
things? They're
win.
all
Because
going to be
we got to
consistent
win
with.
we got. Yes, yes, it
They'll
does matter.
they'll
Go
be
ahead.
consistent with the Democratic agenda, but the particular positions that they have isn't going to matter. It's how the person looks, how they sound. That's going to be the most important factors in terms of who people vote for, who brings in the most money, who can run a good campaign, who can you know advertise with the media. That those are the sorts of things that are going to govern the election, not if there's a little bit of a debate on should abortion be legal up to the 12th week or the 16th week. That's not what's going to win the election. And most of the Democrats are on the same page fundamentally on the issues. So I think if they come up with a fresh face, that has a really good chance of having a Democrat get elected in the White House. I've been saying for a long time that Biden is the only guy Trump could beat, and Trump is the only guy Biden could beat. You get rid of one of them, the fresh face is going to have a really good chance of winning the election.
I agree.
So
Because that fresh face will just go out there and shake hands. I just worry about a split because you got all these young Democrats who
yeah,
want to be president, who have put it off for the 4 years, assume they're going to be dealing with it after Biden, and
yeah,
now are going to have to be. It's just going to be. It upends so much. And you got it. Just it could be some real issues inside. And just because one wins doesn't mean everybody's going to coalesce. It's hard to say. I think it definitely, at least as through the lens of today, it makes perfect sense. We'll have to just see as we go on a little bit more with this. I just don't know where it's going to go. I just know it's going to be really exciting. And I
open
know there's going to be a
convention,
lot of stuff going on.
open convention. What a great summer we'll have.
A brokered convention. It's not open, it's brokered.
Open convention.
It's brokered because the brokers and the power brokers who are there are going to be doing it. It ain't open where you and I have any say
They're
in
going
it.
to look. They're going to look at the polls and see who beats Trump more easily,
They
and that's
all
where
will.
the money will go.
No, you and I will not be represented there. That's my problem. Look, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I don't want Trump as president. I will vote for the Democrats. I mean, it depends. I mean, if he gets the moon, but I'll vote, which we won't. But I'll vote for the Democrat. There's no question about it. I'm up front. But we have no say. It's like boom, we're like cut out. And these people we have sent to be delegates, which used to mean you were delegated we were delegating authority to them to
Exactly.
do things. I mean, that's all. I love history, and that's what it was. But we're sending them there to have a party, and now they may decide our future. These goofballs. I just whoa, and I'm very worried. But Trump is a traitor, so we can't vote for him. So I'm with you. So I'm with you.
Yeah. So that would be fun.
Fun. This whole thing, this next 4 or 5 months are going to be fun. Are you kidding me? The Phillies win last night.
I think they lost, but I have to check the box score today.
You don't even know.
Everybody, I kept getting all these text messages that all the good players got injured. Schwarber.
So you look. Who cares?
Who
You aren't
cares?
looking at your team. You're telling me I follow the Phillies because of you, and you don't even look what your team did.
I didn't look at the box score this morning. I don't know. I don't know.
Do you do fantasy baseball?
I do not do fantasy baseball, fantasy football.
Right, I know you do fantasy football, but geez, I watched the O's. O's won big yesterday, by the way. We broke our 5-game losing streak, won 2 in a row. We're lucky. The
Go.
Yanks are in a tailspin because they're not that good. They're the Yanks. They think they're big. They're New York. They think, oh, it's like Trump. They're nothing. We take them down. Everybody will take them down. The Yanks aren't that tough. They got Judge. They got Stanton. They got who else? One other hitter, Soto, and bye-bye after that. So it's they got their pitching's okay. I hope this doesn't get shoved where it shouldn't get shoved, but that's the position I take.
It looks like it's going to come down to injuries. The pitchers keep getting injured. If you lose your pitching staff, you're in trouble. So
We lost 3 starters,
I know.
elbows. Our leading reliever from last year gone. The leading reliever this year had his elbow out. It's like crazy what's
crazy.
going on out
Yeah,
there.
exactly. Yeah, the Phillies have some great starting pitching. If they can stay healthy, they'll do fine. They'll do fine. But a couple injuries, everything could change. That's the
I'll
point.
tell you, I read an interesting article, and they're saying, we have to try to save the elbows or save the arms of the pitchers. And they're talking to these pitchers, and it comes down to this. I hope I explain it well enough. It's really interesting. Do you want to work on that spin and blow the ball down
Right.
100 miles per hour for 10 years because your arm generally can make it 10 years from young into like early 20s or mid 20s and get the chance to get to the major league. So at least you make the league minimum, you get maybe work your way in, or you just want to be mediocre your whole life and just be in the minor leagues. And they talk to these guys and they go, I'd much rather take the chance of blowing out my elbow and getting to the majors than. So you can see it's going to be really hard when they talk about trying to protect them. It's hard to tell people to protect them.
Who was it? Phil Necro. He threw a lot of screwballs, things like that. He didn't throw hard. He was effective. You have to figure out a way to not throw so hard every single pitch and save your arm. But
We had
you're
Hoyt
right. That's
Wilhelm.
not how it's done now.
No, they don't care. They want to make their money. We had Hoyt Wilhelm. Hoyt Wilhelm had the knuckleball, and Clint Courtney had this big mitt because you couldn't catch.
Right,
You
right, right.
couldn't catch the ball, and it would go. Hoyt,
They
I
could,
loved Hoyt.
yeah,
What?
they could pitch till 40 years old.
50 years old, and they're throwing it like 40 miles per hour. It was crazy with all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the kind of stuff I got to talk about. I'm very disappointed in you. Next time you come on,
All
if
right,
you're
I'll
not
make sure I look
prepared
at
to
the
tell
box.
me what happened to the Phillies, I'm cutting you off.
I
I'm
was
just ending it.
I was watching the debate and got so disgusted I couldn't look at anything anymore. I was done. I was done.
My wife went up to bed halftime.
Went
She
up.
went right up. I can't watch it anymore. But the Orioles had already won by then. And we were ahead like 10-1 or something. We won like 11-2. So I wasn't too worried at that point.
Yeah.
So I let that go. I let that go. I don't know. So but I'm telling you, the Supreme Court you have to watch out. The point you raised, and it's insidious. Watch how they are separating the states, giving the states more power versus the government. And they're saying their argument is Congress should be exercising this power with their laws. They shouldn't be putting agencies in there to exercise congressional power through the agency. You see, that's the Supreme Court's position. But of course, how's Congress going to get involved in everything that happens?
They can't do anything now. They can't elect a Speaker of the House without all kinds of
Did you
problems.
see in Oakland? Did you see in Oklahoma where the schools, the head of the schools has now decreed that Bible study is part of of the kids' educations? The Bible study is the part. Am I missing something? I'm ready to come through here. People forget. The Pilgrims came here to get away from the Church of England. The Pilgrims, the people forget our history. The Supreme Court says, look at this. How can this guy, this is part of learning. What are you talking about, Hoss? When are you bringing in the Quran? When are you going to have studies in Torah versus the Bible, the New Testament? I mean, how dumb is this? Not dumb. This is insidious. This is moving through to
Yes.
make kids have to learn the Bible. If it was my kid, I'd say, you ain't doing it. And you tell him to kiss my butt. I'll see you in court. I mean, this is a joke.
Yeah.
This is what's going on. This is why we can't let Biden just fall apart or stay in this position and we got a problem. Think about this. Teaching the Bible.
If he doesn't voluntarily drop out, we got a problem.
Nah, we already got a problem. You got a problem when you got a state teaching the Bible to kids. Teaching the Bible. Think about it. You got Louisiana with the Ten Commandments. You ever read the Ten Commandments? Half of them nobody does anymore.
Yeah, you can check off the things that Trump has broken.
And you're going to have it up there, just up there. What is that going to do? Well, that's part of Moses was the first what, educator? Oh, all of a sudden they're saying the Jews are the new educators because Moses was Jewish, right? So the Jews put up the laws. Is that the position of Louisiana? I think I'm happy for the respect. I appreciate the respect, folks. I don't have a problem with that. But what are they doing? They're crazy. I mean, this is really craziness.
Yeah, that's what you do. You mentioned that the Ten Commandments came from the Jews, but all of a sudden it won't be in the schools anymore. Once they find out it was Moses who came up with the
Moses
law.
was Jewish.
Jewish, yeah, we're gonna do Jewish law. That's it. Okay, get
Woo,
it out.
get that out of here.
Forget it
Oh
out of
my
here.
gosh. Oh man.
Get it out of here.
Oh man. I love the respect, but it ain't real. It's all BS, okay?
Yes, it's show.
It's all total BS.
Yeah,
It's just, and that's why Trump has to be beaten because he has put in the Supreme Court, which is
yeah,
letting this stuff happen. It's
yeah,
them allowing it because
yeah.
the word goes down to all these Trump appointees down. You got to watch out. The Supreme Court is really taking our country apart. That's
Yep.
where it is. Whoop, wait a second. I'll be right with you. Keep talking.
All right. So we got some.
You gonna keep
We
it here?
still have a bunch of things that have to come down
No,
from
I'm
the
not.
Supreme
That's
Court, right?
okay. I'll see. I'm sorry. Good man. Always good to
Yeah.
see you. Shush. You
Even
hear
your
that
dog's upset.
barking?
Even your dog is worried.
Let me tell you, Teak is really bummed.
He's
She's
worried.
she was up with me all night. It's really funny. I was down. Mark, my wife's in bed crying, not crying. She just went up and passed out. She's good at that. She says, I can't watch this anymore. She did the first break. The dog goes up, says, I can't watch this anymore either. Next thing I know, 20 minutes later, the dog's down, sitting, going, come on up with me. I go, I can't. I got to watch the end of this. The dog says, come on, you got to come up with me. I said, what are you talking about? I got to watch this. Dog hung in, said, I can't put up with this any longer either. And the dog went upstairs. Dog
Everybody
thought I
left.
was crazy. My
Everybody
dog
left.
thought I was crazy last night.
Yeah, I know. This is a bad situation. That's for sure. This is a tough situation. We got to stay positive and hope that people make the right decisions now. But
But
if I was Biden's doctor, though, I'd find some new medicines. He was not on the medicines last night. That's for sure. I'd find some new drugs for him.
he gave the wrong drugs if there
They
are.
gave him the wrong. He took the wrong bottle or something. He took the
He
chill
did.
bottle when he was supposed to take the energy bottle.
You're right. He took the chill bottle. That's the
He
problem.
took the chill
Totally the
bottle.
problem. He took the chill bottle.
God
Yeah,
almighty.
I'm just laughing. It's just oh man. So okay, so this is what's gonna happen. We're gonna be back Sunday at 11. That's our good time when a lot of people are just thinking about it and just kind of marinating with their coffee, going, what's going on? What's our country going to do next? I don't know. It's fun talking with you, Dr. V. I'm
Thank
nervous,
you.
so but it's going to be so exciting over the next couple of months. It's going to be wild. And I'm bringing back the Boomer album of the week, which I
Excellent.
had to walk away from after two Seals and Cross. I couldn't handle the embarrassment any longer. But if Boomers know one thing, they know their music. So we'll be doing that. Everybody can tell us to shove it
Had to
otherwise.
educate people a little bit. That's the reward for tuning in. We'll teach you something. Teach you
We'll
something
teach
about
you something. We
music
did we did
or
history.
history.
We we did history today, didn't we? We
Today
did a
was
lot of
history.
American history today, and hopefully, if when you all turn, we talk about the music, we can help Dr. V understand the definition of real rock and
I'm
rock.
I'm bringing my albums in. I'm gonna pull
Yeah,
my albums
rock.
out.
Bring one. We'll have dueling albums.
Stevie Wonder. There you go.
I love Stevie Wonder. I got no problem. My problem is with Pink Floyd, but we're going to
Oh
leave
no,
it at
oh, no,
that.
no, 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 no. I'm gonna play David Gilmour for you and
Pink
get your
Floyd is
reaction,
a
and you're gonna
joke.
say, "Oh my God, what have I been missing?" Wh-
Ding, ding,
I'm
ding.
gonna bring
That's
him
all
in
it
and play him
does.
for you, and then you'll say, "Oh, you're right. You're right. I was wrong." I
Ding, ding, ding.
I
Ching,
guarantee
ching.
I guarantee I'll play some David Gilmour, and you'll say, "Oh, you're right. You're right."
Save it for a couple weeks when I
All
see you.
right.
We're going to do a live from his house in a couple weeks with some guest stars, but we'll talk about that on Sunday. So it was good seeing you all.
All
Dr.
right.
V, I love you. We're back Sunday at 11 at Capitol Raceway and 11 a.m., and we'll see you then. My man.
That's the way it
Thank you
is.
all.